Okay, folks, here we are for the weekly Fife Property update. This is from the 30th of April to yesterday, the 6th of May. We're going to look at the whole of the market, look at all the numbers together, look at April in its entirety, and see where it gives us a trend. If there is a trend for property prices or where the property market's going, look at some of the, just go over briefly what's happened in the week in terms of some of the shows that we've actually done, and then give an assessment about where we are right now in terms of the Fife property market overall. Okay, so let's get some numbers up and let you see them. I'll just pop this up. Now, this is the weekly stats for this week. This is actually quite interesting because overall, you see down the bottom 147 properties listed in the week, which still tells us that there's 20 people, over 20 people every single day in Fife making a decision to buy and sell a house. Because you've got 147 there, 20 times 7, which is 7 days a week, is 140. So clearly, there is 20 people every single day ready to put their house in the market at this point in time. Now, does that transpire to the number of properties actually sold? Well, the number of properties actually sold is 113, which is actually quite low in consideration. But if you split it down into each territory, you can see each region's actually doing its own supply and demand. So, for example, Cooper, there was 10 properties actually listed, but 15 sold in that week, the same week. East Neuk 7 versus 7, so even Stevens. St Andrews 7 versus 4, no surprise. St Andrews top end of the market, top price point, and it will take a wee bit longer for to sell. So there tends to be in the St Andrews area more coming on in terms of supply and less demand in that area because of the price point. Levenmouth 9 versus 6, Dunfermline 56 versus 59, Glenorchy 14 versus 8, and Kirkcaldy 44 versus 14. Geez, Kirkcaldy has dropped like a stone this week, but it more than likely will probably recover next week, and there could be a reason behind that. So we'll review that next week and see how we are in terms of the numbers. Let's look at back in April, which we're just past. The month of April finished. Now, this is actually quite interesting as well. 90% almost supply and demand. So demand 90% of supply. There is a reason it's a wee bit higher, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. So you can see right across the regions again. Cooper 75%, East Neuk 120%. So basically, there was a lot more selling in the East Neuk area than actually getting listed. St Andrews 27 versus 25, which is really good for St Andrews. Levenmouth 40 versus 41, so that keeps quite level. Levenmouth is extremely affordable. Dunfermline 233 versus 198, and Glenorchy 61 versus 55. Kirkcaldy 118 versus 108. Overall 558 listed and 495 sold. Now this is actually quite interesting as well. So we've got over here, when we look and take out the new build. Now I'm removing the new build, and there's round about, I think it's 25 new build in these figures in the regions, in individual regions. The reason I'm removing them is because their new builds appear in the instructed figures, but they never appear as sold because it's the builders that are putting them on. So they put them on and just leave them on and actually don't put them as sold on Rightmove itself. So we don't ever see them appearing in the sold values. So I typically take them out. It's almost like what the government does in terms of seasonally adjusting the figures in order to make it look, like for like rather than skewed with that number. It shouldn't really be there, essentially. So if we strip that out, that actually changes. Now, I deliberately changed the font in here to make you realise where they've been stripped out of. So St Andrews, that pulls it up to 96% demand. You've got the Glenorchy area, which pulls it up to 131%. In other words, Glenorchy has gone from actually 61 versus 55, 90% demand to now 131% demand. More demand than supply. Kirkcaldy 113 versus 108, so 95% rather than the 92%. So see how that happens in 93% overall demand. So what tells us really it's quite even Stevens. Now, just let me pop off of this just now. I'm going to take this off and stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to look at a number. And I'll tell you why I'm going to look at it. I'm going to open the Zoopla. So let's open another window here. Let's pop into Zoopla. You can't see it just now, but I'll bring it up in a minute. So here's Zoopla's website. as we can see, and I'll share that right now with you. So this is Zoopla's website. Now this tells us right across the whole of Fife what's happening in terms of the numbers actually available for sale. Just take a quick drink of my tea. So we type in Fife overall, and click on Fife, click on search, and this tells us there's 896 properties available for sale throughout Fife. Okay, so there's 896 properties available for sale throughout Fife, and if we jump back to our other window, so 896, keep that in mind. We jump back to our other window with the graphics, so 896, and we're on to here. We have, see that 495? So 495 divided by 800, well, actually 896 divided by 495, leaves us at roughly about 1.8. Now multiply that by 52. So 1.8, 52, 8 times 12 equals roughly about 2. Okay, so roughly 1.8 in terms of the number of months. So there's 1.8 months. So if we take the number of months as 1.8 and divide it by 12, and that equals that times 52, that comes to 7.8 weeks. So roughly about 8 weeks it's taken to sell a house in Fife on average, and that's because we've got basically 7.8 weeks of stock. Because if 495 are actually selling every single month, and we've got 895 or 896. I'm sure it was that number or thereabouts. It would just, I'd asked you to remember. Didn't even remember it myself. But I've got the right number out of what I was looking for. And that tells us there's a roundabout just under 2 months stock on the market. Now that's pretty good, considering that's actually quite restrictive, because pre-pandemic it was at 1,200. So basically in 2019 it was about 1,200 properties available right through Fife for sale, which represented roundabout just over 2.5 months stock. So it's taken on average to sell 7.8 weeks to sell a property. That's what we're saying here. But there is only about that amount of stock in the market. So the more it comes on, it'll steadily increase and go through. So what we're looking for really is a healthy supply overall between the two of these categories. In other words, if you've got 495 selling, you're ideally wanting just over 495 to actually come on as well. And if that's every single month, you're wanting that to happen every single month, because the last thing you want is more demand than supply, because then that causes the prices to go up, and that's a boom. But the other thing you don't want is too much supply and too little demand, because then that causes all the prices to come down, and people are relying on that in order to make their next move. It could make it quite challenging, which could actually put a correction in the market. So it tells me ideally that a correction probably isn't going to happen, and that was actually backed up this week when I did my show on Zoopla. So Zoopla put their statistics out this week, and the headline for the statistics on Zoopla, they had actually said annual house price growth, it slows, but the worst of the month-to-month price falls are now behind us. Demand continues to recover as the number of new sales grows. First-time buyers were the largest buying group in 2022 and look set to be a strong source of new sales in 2023. And that's actually holding out quite well, because in the Fife market, most of the buyers tend to be from 0 to 200,000 in terms of the price point. That's where most of the buyers are. And that tends to be the first-time buyers as well. Zoopla actually estimated 1 in 3 buyers are actually first-time buyers. But it's good, because it creates good health in the property market, because somebody's buying at the lower end in order to allow people to upgrade to the higher end, in order to allow the people at the top end to actually downgrade to a smaller property or move to another property if possible. And that then releases it. So there's a good cyclical movement in there. Zoopla went on to say as well that 3-bedroom homes remain the most in demand. Property for first-time buyers, 40% actually were going for the 3-bedroom homes. But there's a clear shift in first-time buyer demand towards 2-bedroom flats now, because affordability. Income to buy a 3-bedroom first-time buyer has increased on average. This is right throughout the UK by 7,300 since 2020, which varies by geography, and the housing market is more balanced than for some years, and sales could exceed overall in the UK round over 1 million in 2023 if current trends continue. So that's actually quite good. If you want to watch that show and listen to the podcast I did on that in its detail, it's on this link as well. So you can just click on the link to our website and it actually lets you listen to the podcast and watch the show I did on that in detail, covering all these subjects and the reasons why. So that's what was done there. And we'll just pop back to our numbers again. And as I said, it just shows a healthy sustainability about the property market in Fife itself and overall. So good news. Now, the one thing that's on the cards we need to be careful of, or we need to watch out for and be vigilant, not really careful, is the interest rate. Interest rates are going to be announced if it's going to go up in the next week, I think it is, or it could be possibly this week coming. I think it's this week coming actually on Thursday. Now, it's more than likely predicted that interest rates, base rates, are actually going to go up 0.25% to 4.5%. However, a lot of the mainstream lenders are actually still bringing down their fixed rate deals. I mean, admittedly, it's only by 0.15 of a percent, but instead of the fact that they know that base rates are potentially going to go up, they're still actually bringing down their fixed rate deals. So fixed rate deals are actually on coming down, which makes it more affordable for people to get on the property ladder and have more certainty as well in terms of where they're going and what they can budget for. That's what a fixed rate deal's there for. So if you can't go any higher in terms of interest rates than what the fixed rate deal is right now, maybe that's what you should really be taking, and not playing that gamble, because effectively you're just throwing yourself out there on a variable rate or an index rate. In other words, a tracker mortgage. You're just putting yourself out there to take on any movements if it goes up. Now, base rates are predicted by most think tanks to go up to 5%, and then they'll sit stable there. And this is all about curbing inflation. This is why you've got to be vigilant in terms of, if you can't go any higher in your interest on your mortgage, then possibly think about fixing it right now for that reason. But that's another story. I talked about that in the Zoopla property one as well. And I've been talking about a lot in a lot of the blogs this week. So watch out for that if you want to tune in to that information. Let's go back to the numbers then. And let's talk about what's been actually sold. And then we'll come into what's going to be listed this week as well. So, sold. Let's look at what's sold. This one. This is actually quite a good one. So this was actually sold in Achtermurchty, and this was sold in 1 week. Now, I'm sure I saw on social media somebody saying, you'll never get that price for it. Well, it's away in a week. So we did get that price for it. Probably got more than likely. So that was sold in 1 week. That was a High Street in Achtermurchty. That was a 2-bedroom upper apartment. Listed, it offers over 160,000. So that's away. After somebody saying you'll never get that price for it. Okay, the next one is Smiddy Cottage. This is away in Main Street in Connaught. That was sold in 3 weeks, so that took 3 weeks, and that was a 2-bedroom semi-detached cottage. Listed offers over 250,000. Again, people looking to relocate to the area, and that's why they've bought this one. But away in 3 weeks, offers over 250,000. So still very buoyant around that price point for these types of properties. And if you've got a property in that area similar to this, and you think, wow, 250,000 is a good price point, then contact us. We'd love to hear from you. This is quite an interesting one. This was Todd's Green in Crail, and it actually sold a wee bit longer than usual. Now, the reason it did was because the first person actually offered on it, and it was accepted, and everything looked to be going fine, and then all of a sudden it changed their circumstances, and therefore we had to put it back on the market. So it took a wee bit longer than usual. It took just over 3 months. It was a 2-bedroom mid-terrace house, listed offers over 170,000. Now, interestingly enough, we realigned this price point from a different price point and actually brought it down in order to get someone else back into in order to introduce it to a newer audience. This is why you realign the price. So when you decide to go from offers over 180,000 to 170,000, you're not actually giving away £10,000 to someone. What you're doing is you're introducing it to a new audience, because that person might have never looked at properties up to the 180,000 mark. So you let them see that that property when it goes down to that level. Therefore, it introduces to a newer person. They then see the home report and see that actually the home report's worth a lot more. So it allows them to offer a lot more. Therefore, you get the price back that you had in the first place. You push it back up. And that's the strategy often used by a really good estate agent as another strategy, another string to their bow. It's realigning a price point in order to introduce it to a newer audience. So hopefully everybody understands what that means and how that transpires. We've done it plenty of times beforehand where properties actually haven't sold at the price point we initially introduced them at. We've brought it down, somebody else has walked through the door, we've pushed it back up to the original price point it was in the first place. So it's just another strategy, another string to the bow for negotiation and also for introducing it to a newer audience overall. So hopefully that's come across loud and clear, what that means and how that's done. If you're unsure about what I've just said and you want to know more, then please message us direct or give us a call at the office, and we'll let you understand what that really means. Anyway, let's talk about what's coming soon. So coming soon. Let me talk about that right now. Let's remove that. So coming soon. Watch out for these ones. Myrtle Terrace and Tayport, 3-bedroom house is actually coming soon. Erskine Street in Buckhaven, 1-bedroom upper flat will be coming soon. Willow Tree Cottage in Killessie, 4-bedroom detached bungalow. Wow, you want to see this house. It is absolutely gorgeous. And Clarewood Place in Cooper, a 3-bedroom terraced house will be coming this soon as well. Well, coming this week, actually. Completed over the line. Let me talk about completed over the line. Take a quick sip of tea. Completed over the line. Now, what did I mean by this? Well, completed over the line is the transaction's concluded, the bargain's been struck, the money's exchanged hands, and so has the keys for the property as well. That's when we can tell you what properties actually went for, so you get a good understanding about where the market is right now in terms of, should I be expecting a lot more than home report value from a property? Should I be expecting less, or should I be expecting bang on? So this is the first one it went was actually completed was Cardham House in Glenrothes, 1-bedroom upper apartment. That was actually originally sold in 3 weeks, but it was actually sold for the home report value, 80,000. The new owners and the sellers were delighted with that offer because it was the right price point for them to exit the market, and the new owners were happy with that offer as well because it was the right price point for them to get their first house. So that's probably the most important thing about it. It tells you exactly where it is. I've got to say that probably long gone are the offers, huge offers over, because the price points that happened before, maybe the couple of years before, and we had a 24% increase in the Fife market, has actually all caught up, and they're actually now reflected in the home report, the newer home report values. So that's why the price point for a 1-bedroom upper apartment in Glenrothes was £80,000. Turner Crescent Methil, this was actually a 2-bedroom terrace house that sold in a wee bit longer than usual, and again home report value 115,000. Now this was a 2-bedroom terrace house at Turner Crescent Methil, 115,000. That's a really good price point for that type of property. A few years back that was a lot less. It was probably below 100,000. So you can see how it's moved up significantly in terms of value. So therefore that's why everybody was happy with the price received and the price offered. St Andrews Road, Largo Ward, 3-bedroom detached bungalow, sold in 2 months. It was on the market with another agent for 4 months. We took it over, sold it in 2 months. It was sold slightly under the home report value, but new owners were delighted with their downsize, and the existing sellers were delighted at the fact it was actually sold and never took the 4 months that the previous agent had it on for. So again, it's all about getting the right person to do the right job. After all, you don't get a joiner to do cardiothoracic surgery, cardiovascular surgery. You don't do that. So that's why you get the right person to do the right job overall. Let me just finish off here. I have actually got some numbers. I talked about this last week. Some numbers to show you the demand compared to last year on the website. So let me show you the demand. Okay, here we go. I'll look at some numbers here. Now, this is quite interesting. This is the demand we took over a 30-day period. So you can see that there, the 30-day period. This is from to the beginning of April, more or less, to the end of April, the 30-day period. The blue line there is our website activity and compared to the same period the year before in the dotted line. But you can see how sporadic last year was in terms of huge swings, up and down, and then up and down. But look how stable and steady the current period is in terms of website activity. You could draw a line probably right through there at 1,500 every single day, people coming onto our site. So every single day. So there's 45,000 overall in that period, but that's about 1,500 a day just coming onto the website just to look for property. So we can look at that a different way in terms of where they're coming from. So most people you can see there out of that number compared to last year here are coming on mobiles, are coming into websites on mobiles, which means really ideally you want to make sure you've got an estate agent with a good mobile phone strategy. In other words, this is what everybody's going to watch on. So having your phone like that is not really, or filming in this format isn't the greatest format possible, because most people will actually have it like this, and then you'll just see a tiny wee strip for a landscape video. So that's why we record and present in portrait video, so we appear completely on the screen. And when you're going through a property, you can just go side to side rather than have to go up and down, left and right and all over, because it just doesn't look right and it doesn't look very professional. So that's why we record in that format, and that's a good mobile phone strategy. All the different platforms love that. Instagram loves that because Instagram really is that format. TikTok loves that because TikTok is that format. They won't let you do anything horizontal. And Facebook and Reels, and they all begin to love this portrait format as well in terms of filming and recording, because it fits in with their narrative of how they want things to be. Samsung are developing vertical televisions, and most advertising you can see as well now is on bus stops, is on airports. They're all in vertical format. They're all in portrait format. They don't do it like that anymore. They want it like this because it's easy. And this is the way everybody wants to broadcast and wants to record it. This is the way people want to consume data as well. They want to consume it like that. So that's why we go back to this chart and see the mobile phone strategy works very, very well for us. You can see the desktop strategy actually declining because most people just want to use their mobile phones, and tablet seems to be even Stevens. The people are using tablets in terms of what they're doing. So desktops, computers are actually losing out to the mobile phone technology market. Where is everybody coming from? Well, you can see there social media is a huge emerging market. It's gone up 30% in terms of activity year on year. And that's where most traffic comes from nowadays. They're all into social media. They're all driving from social media onto people's websites. Direct, well, fair enough, direct, that's basically somebody just typing in our name and going straight for their organic searches is up in Google as well. And again, that's an easy one. See, look at the referral here. This is the referral. This is referrals. This is from websites like Rightmove and Prime Location and Zoopla. They actually don't drive traffic at all. And they're very, very territorial and protective of their market. Now, we use Rightmove, Zoopla, S1 Homes, Prime Location, because outside of these numbers, it actually increases our market share in terms of the activity by about another third. So as well as the numbers here, we've got another third over and above by using Rightmove, Prime Location and Zoopla in terms of traffic and activity overall. So we're basically getting in front of all the right people. But the mobile phone strategy and the retargeting through social media platforms here actually has a more effective result because it's precision target marketing rather than doing the scattergun effect. Rather than being everything to everyone, we're specifically going for the people that we know the data they're suggesting they're putting in terms of their searches and that. We know they're actually looking for our types of properties. Therefore, our adverts are appearing in front of their mobile phone, are appearing on their mobile phone, actually, whether they like it or not. I mean, if you're scrolling through here, fair enough, you'll see this right now in terms of what I'm doing right now. And Instagram, I'm recording live. I'm broadcasting live on Instagram. I'm not doing it through here, but I'm broadcasting live on Instagram on a separate feed here. So it actually appeases Instagram and makes and gives us a lot more reach as a result of that. And hence the reason why I do live on here, because it pushes out a lot more and lets more and more people actually see your platform. But again, that's other strategies as well. in terms of what we're doing. Let's pop back to the numbers then and finally just finish off. So that's where they're coming from, and then most of the United Kingdom, but you've also got people from the United States and Germany and Ireland. Tournevis was actually sold to someone from France in High Street in Falkland, offers over 550,000, and that was away to someone in France itself. So you don't know where they're going to come from. You don't know where somebody's going to inquire. You've just got to make sure you hit the right markets, which we're doing. You've also got to make sure that when you're ready, when somebody inquires, you're ready to jump on it and actually respond to them, whether it's nighttime, whether it's weekend, whether it's morning, whether it's afternoon, more or less 24/7, in order to pick that information up and relay that information to someone else. So it keeps them on the hook and actually keeps them interested in your property. Remember, time kills all deals. Opening the door and letting somebody see a viewing on a Saturday morning, and then when you ask a question to the person opening the door, well, what's the property and where is it and what does it do? And then they say to you, well, you need to phone the office on Monday morning and find out from them. You're too late. By the time the person's phoned the office on the Monday morning, they've gone off the boil. They'll probably never phone the office on the Monday morning. So it takes a lot more effort to get back to someone. So it's actually keeping someone engaged over that longer period of time in order to get them to make a decision a lot quicker and a lot more effectively. So that's probably the key in the information and the things that you've got to look for in your estate agent in terms of what they're doing and what strategies they're operating on. Finally, I'll just recap on some of the things. Big buyer turnoffs, 5 major view mistakes and how to avoid them. Andrea and I actually did this yesterday morning. This is actually it was a really good show, and it's telling you what you should be doing if you've got your house on the market right now, and how you should be presenting it in order to get the best results you want, in order to add that value to the end, which is a huge amount more in terms of monetary value, in comparison to what the fee is. More than likely, it usually covers the fee easily as a result of that. And you get the result you want, you get the time frame you want, and you get the circumstance you want. You also get the flexibility you want if you get the right person. And that's what that show was done yesterday about, and the podcast as well. So you can tune in on that. You could click on it, read the article, watch the show, listen to the podcast as well. We talked about first-time buyers in the week, Richard and I, keeping our local property market afloat. You can click on that one as well. And finally, just quickly before I finish off, Richard and I are doing Wealth Creation Show tomorrow, episode 70. Who would have thought it would have gone to 70 episodes? That's over. That's almost a year and a half now we've been doing the Wealth Creation Show. For anybody out there that doesn't know about the Wealth Creation Show, it's tuning in for the first time, or maybe listening and hearing it for the first time. The Wealth Creation Show was an opportunity for me to share a lot of my secrets about how I managed to retire at 38-year-old. And that was effectively 18 years ago now, financially free. So I decided, along with Richard, I'll tell you what, we'll sit down and we'll go over all the things and all the knowledge and information that I gained and I learned, and actually give that to everyone else for free and tell them how to do a similar thing, whether they want, whatever stage you want to reach in their life. If you want an extra £100 a month, £500 a month, £1,000 a month, £1,500 a month, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 a month, I'll be able to teach it because I've done it. So that's why we did the Wealth Creation Show. So the one we're going to talk about tomorrow is 10 money savvy strategies. It is actually all about, now it's not about making money, it's about eliminating debt. I mean, it's easy to talk about, but it's actually quite hard to do. So this actually applies to everyone, because according to the government and the statistics, most people are in debt, and quite a lot of people are in debt up to their eyeballs in it. And some people are really at the breaking point with debt. So this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow, about how to eliminate debt. Now, even if you got, 10% information out of this, it was worthwhile to you, you'll eliminate some of your debt, and it will take the stress off and the pressure off as well. So this is why we're going to talk about it tomorrow at 12:30 live. And you can ask questions as well. We don't need to know who you are, but you can ask questions if you want, and we will be on these channels doing this live at 12:30. And so we will be talking about these subjects, and not least about eliminating toxic debt, which is considered to be pretty much everything but your mortgage. That's what toxic debt is defined as. So you'll probably find it difficult to invest and build wealth when your primary wealth building tool, your income, is tied up in your monthly finance charges. And so this is how we're going to do it. Now, just to give you an insight into this, when I first started out, about 30, 35 years ago, and I started to look at this myself when, I was stony broke, for want of a better word, homeless and unemployed. I then looked at some strategies, and I actually got in touch with really good mentors who actually showed me how to manage money. It's an amazing amount of people out there that have no idea how to manage money. I was talking to someone today when I was over in Glasgow, and they said, well, I'm just not good with money at all. And I'm thinking, tune into the show tomorrow, for goodness sake, because I could tell you exactly how to manage money. And this is it, what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So we're going to talk about these 10 steps that will show you how to save for emergencies, pay off all your debt for good, and build wealth over time. It's not a fairy tale. It works every single time. Some of you will go, I'm going to tune in and learn from it. Some of you will go, everybody would be doing it. But you're not. That's why then. So are you ready really to take control of your money? Well, luckily, you don't need to head back to school. Richard and I are going to talk about it tomorrow, and hopefully, we're going to learn something. We're going to learn how to save money, how to make money, how to get out of debt, and how to get a long-term strategy in place in order to set yourself free later on. Maybe impossible right now, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You can't do all at the same time. Just do one bite at a time, and it's easy to do overall, and it compounds wealth over a long period of time. And that's me. Thanks very much for tuning in. If you've got any questions later on, please feel free to message me direct. And until next time, guys, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV. Bye-bye for now.